Good day, everyone. I'm Jessa Olonan from Bachelor of Science in Accountancy, and I'm your speaker for today's discussion. At this moment, we will talk about the ways on how to cope up with the challenges of intercultural communication. And I've chosen to demonstrate and state the Spanish communication style. We have verbal and nonverbal communication, and it is divided into different parts. In verbal communication, it has 9 portions, and we will talk first about the direct communication that Spain has. Spaniards generally have a direct communication style. They tend to speak very openly and are comfortable showing emotion. This can give some foreigners from more reserved cultures the impression that Spaniards are very confident people, leading them to make decisions under these assumptions when this may not necessarily be the case. You can expect Spaniards to offer honest answers to sincere questions. They speak clearly about their point and generally like to leave an interaction having voiced all their opinions. In return, they expect similar honesty from their conversation partner and hence may fail to read into understatements. It is important to avoid ambiguity in direct speech. So as we can say, they are comfortable in showing their emotions and voicing out their opinions. But in return, the other party must also show honesty and always remember to avoid ambiguity and indirect speech. Next, we have the request. The Spanish phrasing of request is generally quite direct. For example, in Castilian or in Spanish, someone would commonly ask for a coffee by saying, "Would you give me a coffee?" Or in Spanish, "Me pones un café?" Or "Give me a coffee please," and in Spanish, "Ponme un café por favor." This differs from many places in English-speaking West, where it is more common to use conditional expression and polite forms. For example, "Could I please have a coffee?" So that's the request in Spain. Next, we have the common courtesy. Consider that please and thank you are not said as habitually in Spain. It is not intended to be rude. Rather, some Spanish may find it a bit excessive to express profuse gratitude and politeness throughout everyday exchanges. So Spaniards are not that expressive when it comes to showing their emotions or their gratitudes and politeness. Therefore, saying please and thank you is not necessary use in Spain and is not considered to be rude. So next, we have the silence. Consider that Spaniards can struggle to stay quiet for long durations of time. They are not particularly comfortable with silence in social situations. If conversation does fall quiet, it may be perceived to reflect badly on the relationship with the conversation partner. So, when there is a silence in their conversations in Spain, there is a misunderstanding or there's a gap between the two people having a conversation. There's a misunderstanding in the relationship. So next, we have the swearing. Swearing is common and generally acceptable among friends. It is true that the use of swear words is probably more accepted in Spain, but Spaniards don't go around swearing all day. In most cases, it is still seen as rude and impolite, only that it can be acceptable to a certain degree. So next, we have the interruption and volume. It is common and acceptable for friends to interrupt and talk over one another as people get excited about conversation. In some cases, people may shout to be heard. This is not necessarily rude, but indicates full engagement with the discussion. One often hears Spaniards call out and even heckle during speaking engagements and performances. This is expected to be taken in jest. It is acceptable mostly when the conversation is, or when the conversation is going to be, or when the conversation has excitement topic or message like that, and interrupting someone shows interest in what they say. It's also common to shout so that the people they are talking to can easily understand the other party, what the other person was conveying. So next, we have the humor. Spaniards love to joke throughout conversation. People often have many funny stories that they are prepared to leave in upper room. However, be aware that this is not common for people to banter by poking fun at each other in critical ways. It is best not to ingle humor too personally at the expense of those in the room. In Spain, It is normal to have a jokes in the conversation, but also be aware of the situation. If the conversation is too serious or critical, it is not necessary to crack the joke. Next, we have the nonverbal communication and we have the personal space. Spaniards generally keep about half a meter of personal space from one another. Men are generally less protective of their personal space and than those in the English-speaking West. Nevertheless, women are generally more comfortable with closer proximities. Based on my research, Spanish people are open and friendly. In an informal situation, whether with a family, close friends, or virtual strangers, they greet women with a kiss on each cheek. And men have no fear of personal space with other men in an informal situation. And they will often greet or say goodbye with a hug. So next we have the physical contact. The Spanish tend to be quite tactile and expressive with physical touch. Open displays of affection between couples are common and acceptable. It is common to see people walking hand in hand or friends walking together with their arms interlocked. Among friends, people may nudge your arm, elbow, or leg to reinforce their points in conversations. Put an arm around your shoulder in camaraderie or hold both your shoulders to show deep appreciation. Some people may even casually finger the lapel of another person's clothing or knit them their attire for them. All these moments of physical interaction are meant to signify friendly affection and approachability. Spanish men tend to be less guarded about physical contact with other men than those from English-speaking countries. So next we have the body language. Spaniards may gesticulate more in general conversation. They tend to be quite demonstrative with their expressions, using their hands to emphasize their points. It states that Spaniards use their hands and facial expressions to make a point and reflect their thoughts. Their stance and facial expressions will convey their message, possibly more than the word they say. So next, we have the eye contact. Direct eye contact is expected during conversation in Spain. It is expected in Spain because it is important, because it indicates the sincerity and attentiveness of the person they are talking to. So next, we have the beckoning. The most common way to beckon another person is to hold one's hand up with the palms facing upwards, waving one's finger towards oneself. Avoid using a single index finger alone, as this can have a suggestive tones. In Spain, when they are beckoning, they are using their palms facing forwards and waving one finger towards oneself. And they are not using single index finger alone because there's another meaning for this, or there's a suggestive tones. So next, we have the gestures. People may give one another a nonverbal cue to alert those around them if they see someone that they suspect is a thief. This involves extending a hand out and lightly touching each finger to the palm. So in Spain, there is these gestures that when they're suspecting a thief, they're extending a hand out and lightly touching each finger into the palm, so that the person or the people around the area will know or will be informed about the situation that they have in that area. So that's the gesture in Spain. So that's the end of our discussion. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.